Okay, hello everyone. This is Sharonda, and this is my podcast as well as my YouTube channel, Spiritual Sense. Today is Sunday, which is March the 24th. And so, on this podcast and YouTube channel, I'll go over a variety of topics involving the paranormal, occult, supernatural. So, if you go on Spreaker.com, you'll see a variety of topics on my um, Spiritual Sense platform. I'd like to start off by saying that this podcast is for entertainment, informational, and sometimes educational purposes. So it is optional. For those who want to contribute to this channel and this podcast, I do have a cash app, Magic Mind Medium. If you want to present any donations, that will be very welcome, but it's very optional. Um, so let me turn on my music here. It's been on, but I haven't had it in the background. So give me just a moment. Before I proceed, I want to say my cash out is let's pull it up. Let's see. Yeah, so $ Magic Mind Medium. And you should find me up on there if you have a desire to um want to help to promote the channel and things of that sort. A lot of the information that I present on here is it's pretty much is my synopsis as to what I feel is being relayed to me in terms of biblically, spiritually, religious wise, or whatever in this life experience. Now, if that can necessarily be put into a book form or even a movie or production or whatever, okay, fine. Or what have you. Um, so lost souls, what is lost souls and what does the Bible mention about lost souls? Again, I want to stress that this is not a biblical nor religious podcast. However, I will refer back to the biblical text regarding whatever the topic may be. So it says Bible verses for the lost. We have Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am God. Now I'm not reading all of the verse, I'm just reading, some of it. Psalms 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Then you have a couple of more in terms of those who may feel at a loss or wherever the case may be in terms of lost souls. Mark 8 verses 34 through 38 mentions, for whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? So the key word here is soul, lost soul. What is a lost soul? So it mentions that from a biblical perspective, a lost soul is an individual who has strayed from the path of righteousness and separated from God's grace due to the entanglement of sin and spiritual waywardness. That's what it mentions. Um, I think to have a lost soul is similar to when someone experiences spiritual apathy, which is a horrible, horrible thing to feel. And this is apart from like to be nutritionally deficient or not having the proper things to carry out everyday bodily functions to maintain life. But the soul has a lot to do with the desire or an addiction. Like it's connected to, I think addictions are connected to the soul, because if the soul is lost or there's spiritual apathy, it will continue to perpetuate that same cycle unknowingly that is turning one against oneself. So at this point in time, we're not dealing with just a battle of the flesh. It becomes spiritual in terms of the soul. So that being said, um, say for instance somebody who may have a porn addiction or some type of sexual deviant sin. It's within the soul, and that's when the soul needs restoration in order for the individual to move forward. It's what it lets me know. So as I was doing my spiritual sense, spiritual reading, light and dark reading, it showed me just in doing that reading that um to perpetuate me speaking about this topic today in terms of lost souls and soul restoration that we are essentially here by way of a second chance. We was in a holding space, whether you refer to it as heaven, paradise, or whatever the case may be, and somehow um, we ended up here by way of sin of a sex act um, for something that may have transpired some time ago for restoration to restore our soul. I think this is a revolving cycle. I think that's what reincarnation come about. I do believe in that other existence there are different energies as such. As I have read in previous writings that to come here and experience this life experience is a privilege. Many energies don't get the ability to be in human form and to learn. I think as a result, we are given the opportunity to come here as a learning experience and then uh, to receive soul restoration, if that makes any sense. Because, like I had mentioned before, when I talked about fallen angels, and that I felt as though we essentially were as a fallen angel, even though I don't feel like we are. It's more or less like, okay, I put you out for you to learn. And then you have the ability to redeem yourself to come back because you don't know. Like, it's so much that you don't know, but I chose you to come back. That's what I feel, if that makes any sense. So, in other words, soul restoration, you will be restored apart, but trust and believe it. You got these energies that don't want you to be restored, so they're going to use things and tactics to send you to hell. See, like I did, if you reference to my podcast where I spoke about um time travel of spirits, check that one out because I woke up in the midst of the night and I had went to sleep and I was watching as I do quite often frequently about funeral home type stuff, mortuaries and stuff, and it was showing people that had transitioned over, like biologically died, and I seen people from different cultures, Hinduism, Indian descent, and as a result of that, I ended up going to sleep and it manifest in a vision, open vision of this. And please don't feel offended. After doing other research, I realized that it's not the Krishna. Krishna is a significant goddess within the Hindu culture, but that what I was actually experiencing was called Kavi. Kavi, and let me pull this up because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm saying anything against your culture or religion because I'm not. Um, but Kavi, um, in Hinduism, let's see if I can get an interpretation. All of this is in a different writing. I'm not able to read this writing, but let's see if I'm. Let's see if I'm able to pull this up. Um, from my understanding, Kavi is a sex demon. And I want it to be known that at no point in time that I'm targeting those who are of Indian descent, faith, or Hinduism, or whatever the case may be. But what I'm going to tell you is that um, it's a demon in that culture that has been given a name, and I erroneously referred to it as the Krishna, but in all actuality, it was Kavi, which was a sex demon that visited me, and it showed me her image. However, there was a multitude of demons around this person, kind of like if you're seeing something and it's enhanced, like manifold, or what have you. And in essence, I think when you're getting ready to make that transition from this existence to the next one, you do have holding spaces where it's kind of like they trying to recruit you to help facilitate a spiritual warfare in this time in existence, because they don't want you to they're jealous. They have fallen from grace. They don't have the ability to be restored. And oftentimes when someone is jealous um of your second chance, then they want you to recruit you to help facilitate and get someone on their team to continue up this same old demonic cycle. And that's what God showed me, and that's when I titled that episode Time Travel of Spirits, because I do believe that these energies can um plague men, women alike. Jezebel spirit being such as that. And when you are lost, a lost soul, and things have not been uh told to you, or you have not paid attention, you will get captivated in the prowess of this negative energy, if that makes any sense. And in turn, you will be such as that, a taunting spirit that will get in here to steal, kill, and destroy. So, in essence, I think we come here as spiritual beings because we was at a holding space prior to, and by the way of a sex act. Um, we receive inclination in this time and existence, knowledge, capability, understanding. However, for us to be restored, soul restoration, some things we have to show oneself approved, if that makes any sense. So you cannot come here damaged. We got to get you right and get you in accordance, because as I told you, these spirits are jealous and they don't want you to manifest to the forever. They want you to go forever and lose your soul in this other holding space, which in turn will help to facilitate the demise of and transition, spiritual transition to people in this time and existence. But you want to go to a happy space or place, referred to as quote heaven, paradise, however you want to refer to it as. So in order to do that, there it takes some things that happen to restore your soul. And by way of deception, these energies, spiritual duties, and spirit related job fields is going to confuse you to where you cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. Meaning, when it's time to make that transition, you will go to this way instead of going to that way. So basically, if you go back and look at my podcast episode, what I mentioned about time, travel, or spirits, when they come in, if you are lost, they will deceive you. And you will end up losing your soul ultimately. That's what I feel. So that's the synopsis that I have gained in terms of this life experience. The next person may, um, you know, see it differently, because I do feel as though, when you begin to bring that reality into this one, it's all based on perception, personal perception. I do think there's going to be some commonality along the journey, or the story, or the testament, but ultimately it's person specific, if that makes any sense. So again, lost soul, in this life experience, when you are battling some adversaries in terms of mental challenges, physical challenges, spiritually, I think is in turn when there's a disconnect in the soul, or a loss of the soul, and it will manifest spiritually by spiritual apathy. So, say for instance, somebody who has issues in terms of the vice of sex, or food, or whatever the case may be, where it's in abundance or deviant, it's because there's something going on with the soul. The soul is permanent and long standing, whereas the spirit, which fights against the flesh, is temporary. So we want to work on the soul. We want to get to the root of the issue, is what it is. We want to get to the root of the issue to find out what is perpetuating a lot of this energy. Because as I mentioned, transition, spiritual transition, when someone commit the act of a spiritual transition, there is a battle for the soul, ultimately. So, how can one have their soul restored? Well, it goes on to mention on this website that God does refreshes your soul. There is a such thing as soul's restoration. You can be restored, despite of what a lot of people are putting out here, that, oh my gosh, when your soul is gone, it's gone. And I do feel as though when you get to certain stages, because I do believe that he's not going to sit there and let you walk over on him. But if you're exhibiting that you're playing and you're not consistently, okay, boom. But I do believe he does give you second chances, sometimes three chances. Some people may be lucky enough to get multiple chances, but ultimately you will have a last chance, no matter how many times it takes. So I'm going to read verbatim what's on this website. It says, we all will face times of uncertainty, trouble, and worry. People of all ages experience trials at some point in life. Sometimes sadness takes over, and we become exhausted spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I remember when my dad was, this person mentions that he remembered when his dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. Then years later, his mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Years later, he received a diagnosis, or she received a diagnosis of breast cancer. So the doctor spoke the words, gave the diagnosis and treatment plan, and life changed in an instant. So this person mentions that their soul was broken as they listened to the word cancer being repeated, and kept thinking again, why, Lord, why? Um, so this person mentions that they prayed, they cried, and and regarding God, they asked the Lord for guidance. They was angry about this cancer diagnosis that came to them and their family. And once the Lord listened and held the family in their loving arms, as mentioned, this person mentions that they read the verse Isaiah 40:31, which mentions about soul restoration. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to see exactly what exactly that verse is talking about in terms of soul restoration. So give me just a moment. Doesn't look like it wants to pull up. Okay. So it mentions Isaiah 40:31, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings with wings like eagles. I'm sorry. I'm getting myself tongue tied. Okay, let me begin and go over. Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So I honestly believe that um our souls, ultimately, we do have a countdown. We do have a number of chances that God presents to us before our soul is completely lost. But ultimately, all of us will have a last chance. Some people may only get a few, some people may get multiple, but ultimately, I think we all get a last chance in terms of lost souls, because I think to be a lost soul, you will see it in people. You will see when a person is no longer in this existence, the pallor in complexion, duskiness, the eyes will begin to the twinkle will be out of the eye. I mean, things it will show it's aesthetically wise in their environment. It will show in their countenance. It will show in their appearance, their vanity wise. Um, and nothing you would do. Everything negative will gravitate to them when there's a spiritual apathy, a battle for the soul. Everything that you can think that can go wrong will happen without thought. That's not a good space to be in. I have been close to that a few times in my life, and I'm going to tell you, it's not a happy space to be in. You want to be away from that energy as much as possible. I think when you are at that point in time, people lack empathy for you, because the battle is from within. It's what it is. It's all based on what you can accept in this life experience, what you're willing to accept. Some things have to change within you in order for you to get it. And once that happens, then you will see how things will turn around for the best, for your favor. So I do believe that we as tangible human beings are mostly created by the act of sex. And as a result, we are we come here as a way of redemption, if that makes any sense, to be restored in the soul. Because when we return, we want to go to a happy space, a happy place. Now, whether you refer to it as paradise, heaven, who knows? Now, reincarnation. I think reincarnation is a renewal of energies. I do believe we all are assigned certain spiritual related job fields or spiritual duties or assignments, and as a result, it continues to manifest itself over and over again, if that makes any sense. Similar to Jesus, bringing up, Jesus, which is a popular, person that you will hear about. I think we will all be as a Jesus. Ultimately, it's the point. So I'm going to conclude this episode of Spiritual Sense, speaking about lost souls, soul restoration. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you're more than welcome to comment below. Until then, have a safe and wonderful day. Good day.